So I've been working on my budget rifle project using Savage Axis. In this case it was a Savage Axis heavy barrel in a 308. And I wanted to start, with the budget rifle and do a bunch of modifications and everything to it. And I get this question asked a lot, well, was it worth it? And that's a great question, and it's all up to the individual. If you consider that right out of the box, a Savage Axis is a decent gun. It's an entry level, but for hunting, it'll get the job done. It's not a bad rifle. I think it has a lot of room for improvement, and in my opinion, it's the factory plastic stock was kind of flimsy, and the trigger pull was very heavy and rough. So those are two of the main things I wanted to address. And what I did, so I started off by replacing the stock. And this was a Boyd stock, varmint thumb hole, much better stock, and it added a little weight, which was welcome, when I'm sitting at the range, firing a 308 over and over. That added weight was a big plus. Then I did a quick trigger job. And it was a DIY project there also, but it reduced the trigger pull from 6 or 7 pounds or so down to 2.5 to 3. It's acceptable, and then I polished it off a little bit, and so it's a little smoother and less pull. So I was pretty pleased with that. So then I decided to replace the butt pad. And this is one that I had actually for a Remington 700 pad that I'd sold the rifle, and this was just laying around, so I trimmed it down to fit and gave it a little more cushioning there. Then, after dealing with a lot of cracked plastic, see, the Boyd stock comes with plastic hardware, the plastic trigger guard and the plastic front mounting clip. So I replaced the trigger guard with the metal guard, and then I fabricated my own front mounting clip, CNC milled it out of aluminum, 6061 aluminum, and it turned out really well. After I did that, I decided to bed the stock and then pillar mount it. So now I've got metal on metal contact, and I can really torque it down, and I don't have to worry about any cracked plastic from that Boyd's hardware. And then the last thing I did, you can see I custom fit a pistol grip onto the varmint thumb hole, and it really fits my hand pretty well. My finger positions really well, and so far that's about all I've done. And that's not including adding a bipod or a scope. This is just for the rifle itself. So the big question is, after doing all that, is it worth it? And there's a few ways you can look at it. It's if you look at it monetarily, the money that was spent. Here, I have it written down, and I'll post it up on the screen too. So I started with the Savage Axis heavy barrel, and it was roughly about $320, and there was a $50 rebate, so we're looking at about a $270 rifle with the heavy barrel. The Boyd's thumb hole stock, at the time it was about $124. I think they're floating around $140 now. The trigger job was just some little hardware and manpower on it, but it cost me about $3. The butt pad, I know it cost me something, but this is something I had lying around for many years, so it felt like it cost me nothing, right? The metal trigger guard was about $18. The front clip Now I fabricated this myself, but if you can see it there, I fabricated it myself, but now they're selling for about $30. And then or you can get the front clip with the pillars in a kit, and that's $35. I bedded the stock. The material that cost me to do that was about $5, and then the custom pistol grip, about another $5 or so, and that's just material costs. That's, you got to figure this is all the material cost for me. I did it all myself. It's a DIY project, so no labor is included. But the grand total comes up to $455. So I guess that's the argument. It's was it worth the cost? And some people say, some guys are saying, well, for $450 you can get a much better rifle out of the box. And that's, I guess that's a matter of opinion. Sure, you can get another rifle, spend $450 and get a pretty damn nice rifle. But I guess the main point is I was able to get started with this project with $270, just the cost of the factory Savage axes. And then as time went by, I was able to do whatever modifications that I wanted over time and on a budget, right? And that's, when I say budget rifle, well, that's my definition of it. It's being able to buy the rifle and do your modifications or whatever you want on your own budget. Now, it took a little while, sure, but to tell you the truth, I had a damn good time with the project. It was a lot of fun. I'm having a great time at the range with it, testing out all my modifications. So now I have a custom rifle built the way I want it, right? So I guess it's up to the individual. Do you want to do that? Do you want to have a project rifle and get started with one, and or do you just want to go to your local local store and just get one out of the box? Nothing wrong with that. But if you want a project rifle, this might be an option for you. I mean, even then, you can get some pretty nice rifles, for $500 or $600 out of the box, and still treat that as a project, customizing and adding whatever you want. But in this case, I specifically wanted to start with the budget rifle and do my mods on it. So, to each his own. It's up to the individual. But in my case, I'd say it's worth it, and I'm ready to start another one. So let me know what you think. What rifle projects do you have in mind, and would you go this route?